We've all seen bands overstay their welcome in the name of milking that cash cow. But that's not the case with No Trigger. They've been around for 2 decades and still feel fun and fresh. And that's all thanks to their VACATIONCORE approach. And this approach certainly wouldn't work for every band. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what VACATIONCORE is and why it works for No Trigger. Hey ladies, Dan Frampton here, and before we get started, slap like and subscribe. Okay, let's get going. For me, it all starts with this Vince McMahon meme that Soul Glow posted to their stories on Instagram. And I gotta be honest, this isn't the original meme. I didn't archive it because I am an idiot, but I had to recreate it because I couldn't find it. I don't remember what the actual top album was, but I just threw in the Comeback Kid one, and then Soul Glow, which you guys know is my favorite record of the year, at number 2, and then there was this like crazy reaction to this record I haven't seen yet from a band I haven't heard yet. I was like, No Trigger, and it's making Vince McMahon lose his mind. What is this record? So then I went and I listened to the record, and it was the fastest, funnest, most colorful, most tightest, amazing melodic hardcore that I've ever done heard. All about doing acid and hating Nazis. I loved it. But I was like, how haven't I heard of this band before? And I start to see visions of Fat Mike wearing their t-shirt, and I had like hallucinations of seeing their names on flyers and posters and stuff. And I just kept listening to that EP over and over again, being like, these songs are fucking incredible. Who are these guys? And that's when I started to dig into it, and I went to their YouTube channel. And when we hit their YouTube channel, I was like, all right, there's not a lot of uploads here, but I was pretty excited to see music videos for songs off the record that I had just recently fell in love with. Anti-Fantasy, which is this really well shot piece of filmography, okay, so go check this out if you have a couple seconds. And then a little animated music video for the intro track. And it was these 2 music videos that kind of solidified it in my mind that these guys are gonna be one of my favorite bands. But you keep poking around their YouTube channel here and you're like, what the hell? 623 subscribers? How do I have more subscribers than No Trigger? I don't know, I don't get it. This stuff is amazing. This only has 8,000 views? What the fuck? And then you go back to their first video. They've been around for over 15 years? What is going on with this band? That's when I realized there was certainly a story to tell. I tossed out a story of my own there on Instagram and I tagged the band. And then the band tagged me being like, someone tell Dan, and then I waited until the next day to be like, no one told Dan, and then they finally told me, so now here I am making this video. And when I was reflecting, I realized that No Trigger are one of those if you know kind of bands, and I just quite simply didn't know. And to familiarize myself, I do what I always do to familiarize myself, and that is check out some live footage. So while we're here, while we're talking about live footage, let's do something that this channel does best, and that is call the action. Let's do an episode of Pit Pros really quick. Okay, so let's kick it to Meerhout, Belgium for Grows Rock 2011 to see if No Trigger can make these people slam. Normally we do a full set, but for the purposes of this video, we're just doing one song, and that song is Neon National Park. Okay, ladies, let's hit the pit. Alley Cat Alan Catimontaro starts us off with a pretty average elbow drop. And then a lateral tope suicida from Met Gala. Lasso backpack tag team tope combination from Bareback Cowboy. And then we see a spanky windmill belly flop from Uncle Tom's Barbecue. Bareback Cowboy comes back in for a monitor launch tope con hilo. Little slip from Jobber Jeff, but a pretty decent little recovery. One day, he will be a full-fledged slammer. And then Hippie Hygiene comes in and shows us a very unimpressive tope. No air, no extension, and absolutely zero stees. But Hoops shows us how it's done, with max extension, impressive elevation, and just dripping in stees. Happy Hick with the Stumble Stupor Tope! And then we see the wide shot of the huge audience with bodies flying everywhere. It is carnage. It is chaos. It is an insurance company's wet dream. Chase Banks with a bankrupt elbow drop. Met Gala with a crossbody. Floral Coral comes in with an average hip attack, not delivering too much damage with this one. But if you want to see damage, this guy is gonna one-hit ya. His name is Beach Mullet, and here is a very impressive tope con hilo that wipes out all the slammers around him. I'm calling this the Flurry of Sank. And Skanker does what Skanker does best, and that is skank as three amigos run past. And then Skanker delivers a pretty pathetic, please carry me tope. And then Hot Water Bro with a very physically impressive, athletically ambitious tope suicida. And to end it off, we get a massive corkscrew from Anchorman Son. Okay, so yeah, it's fair to say that No Trigger can make these people move. They make the slammers slam. So that's all I need to know to move forward with this video. So with that being said, let's move forward with this video. So now that we have definitive proof that No Trigger can make people slam, it's time to look at their release schedule to get a deeper understanding of what VACATIONCORE actually is. And how is it they've been able to get away with it for over 20 years? So basically they formed in the early 2000s. There's conflicting sources. Like on the internet, some places say they got together in the year 2000, but I was in contact with the No Trigger Instagram account. I think it's actually run by Tom himself, the lead singer, and he said they got together in 2002. But either way, early 2000s is when these guys got together. It wasn't until 2006 that they put out their first record on the Offspring's record label called Nitro. This record would be called Canyoneer, and it would go on to have a pretty storied legacy in the scene. They only pressed a certain number of copies of this record, right? And then Tom, the lead singer, was all like, if you have a record, if you have this record, if you have a pressing of this record, you cannot get rid of it for anything less than $5,000. So Canyoneer is the $5,000 vinyl from No Trigger. And it turns out that someone actually did buy it. This Sal Ellington guy got this GoFundMe together and purchased a $5,000 copy of Canyoneer to even strengthen the lore behind this record. So right away we're off to a pretty good start, and it was a really great record, melodic hardcore, a lot of really great tracks, and it wasn't until a year later that they put out even more tracks. A little 7-song EP called Extinction in Stereo, which was a really, really good effort. And by this point, there's no VACATIONCORE in sight. It's like, we're putting out records, we're a band, we're a punk rock band, and we're touring, and we're putting out songs, and we're doing the whole thing. Yeah, but it was right after this that VACATIONCORE started to take fold, because it would be 5 years before their next release, which would be a single called Somebody to Shove, which absolutely wasn't my thing. This track is kind of like a, just a generic pop punk, hey, we're back and it's a song, guys, we're still a band, remember? Type thing. And I didn't really vibe with it too much when I was listening to it, to tell you the truth. But later that year, on No Sleep Records, came a full length. A beautiful full length. A fully realized full length with a vision from beginning to end. And this thing had a very cohesive sound. It was catchy, it was heavy, it was fast, it was melodic. It was everything that you would want a melodic hardcore band to be, especially in the year 2012. It was called Tycoon, and now we're like, oh man, what's going on with these guys? Is it not VACATIONCORE? Because what VACATIONCORE ended up meaning was they got jobs, essentially. They got houses, they got kids, they got families, and they would get together to write a song all together. They couldn't just write a song one person and then come to the studio with everybody and put it together. They would need to all do it together and schedule it like a vacation from life, a vacation to write punk rock music. So it was during this era that they kind of coined the term VACATIONCORE, where most people in bands would get accused of being lazy, not putting out enough stuff for the public, not doing enough stuff for the touring, that kind of thing, How are you providing any value to your record label with such a sparse release schedule, would be how most bands would be approached about this sort of thing, you know? But they didn't care. They weren't doing this for a label. They were just doing this for themselves. They were secure. They had a job. They had a family. They didn't need to worry about pushing stuff for numbers or whatever. They were big enough to support little tours across Europe, little tours across Japan. So that's exactly what they did. They got big enough to just be a touring band and do these big tours whenever they felt like doing big tours. And that was that. They were pretty much stoked about that. So anytime that they'd get together, it would have to be a really well organized ordeal. So we're here still 2012 in the timeline, and it isn't until 2017 that they drop their next thing. That's right, VACATIONCORE is in full effect right now. And in 2017, after 5 years of waiting, the fans, the patient, loving fans, finally get 4 tunes. That's not even a song a year, which is fine, you know, whatever, because the songs ripped ass. They were great songs. So, okay, that's one reason why they can get away with this VACATIONCORE thing and not be called lazy, because they can make the slammers slam, and when they put out an effort, it's fucking awesome, banger from wall to wall. And then a year later, in 2018, comes another 2-song EP. Is VACATIONCORE over? Are they a full-fledged band again? Well, now the pandemic hit, and, you know, everybody was like grinded to a halt. But that's when they had the idea to do a bunch of acid and write a record. So apparently they wrote like 20 some odd songs, they recorded 14 or 15 of them, whatever, and they released that record that blew my mind at the beginning of this video, the Acid Lord EP. And I'm listening to this EP being like, okay, this is a full project. Yes, this is only 5 songs, but it's a full fucking thing, and I don't need a full record. You know, this is the thing, and it's clear that they did a bunch of acid, and this was the music that came as a result of that, and I was stoked about that. But when it turned out that the No Trigger Instagram account told me that, yeah, it's gonna be a full length eventually in August, they said. So expect a full length in August. I got kind of stoked, but in a way where I was like, oh, well, I guess that means it's great that we're getting more stuff, but this Acid Lord thing isn't just its own EP and it's just promo for the full length. And that's okay, that's all right too. But I just want it on vinyl, but when I searched it for vinyl, it didn't look like it existed. And it was really fucking sick that the Instagram account, which I think was the singer, was being very cooperative with me making this video. But I sent a couple follow-up questions and got a little bit ghosted, but I'm not feeling any sort of sour about that. The dude was nice enough to give me enough information to make this much of a video. And as I was doing research for this video, Tom Rowe, the lead singer of the band, would explain how he doesn't like see how breaking up makes any sense. Why break up? Just don't drop for a bit, you know? And there's no reason to make a big dramatic stink about anything, just like fucking chill out. So that's kind of what they do, you know? They just live their own lives, they do their own little day jobs. I'm not gonna really get into what their day jobs are because I have no idea. I'm not gonna talk about that because that's not what this is about. This is about the music jobs that they have. But not everybody could get away with this sort of schedule. You know, most people would just call them lazy and write them off. But because their shows are so good, because their records are so high quality, and because their drops really do scratch and itch for the fans, is how, you know, they get away with it. But if I'm being honest with you, I went through their entire catalog, and their newest stuff, that Acid Lord EP, is by far my favorite stuff. And I don't know if I have like recency bias towards it or whatever, but it's just the most fun and colorful and animated and fast and energetic melodic hardcore that I think I've ever heard. And it tells a great story and it's very like kind of political and also funny. I don't know, it's just like the full package. So if the LP disappoints, then I'm gonna have a really broken heart because this EP is fucking unbelievable. If you haven't checked out the Acid Lord EP yet, I strongly suggest that you do. And while you're at it, go check out those music videos in full for the songs off the record. Oh, death becomes me. I just want pizza. Yes. So that's VACATIONCORE essentially. It basically means you have to have another job, which is I know what most punks don't want. Most punks do not want another job, and that's why they're in punk bands. But if you want to be in a VACATIONCORE band, you need to kind of have like a steady job and provide for a family you know, maybe get yourself married and have a kid, have a dog in a backyard. A little fence will go a long way, you know what I mean? So you can get away from all of that stuff, all that real life stuff, and go on a little punk rock vacation and write songs about like how religion kind of ruined your life as a kid. And there it is. I know VACATIONCORE doesn't really seem that appealing to people that want to start a band because, you know, you do got to get that stupid job, but it really works for these guys because it means they can just do shit at their own pace. They don't need to break up. They don't need to do any of that like dramatic punk scene stuff, and they can just be chill. And that's gonna do it. Before you get out of here, make sure you like and subscribe. If you're feeling generous, super thanks and join the channel. And until my next upload, watch another upload.